Baby, you're the best thing move. Baby, you're the best thing smoke. Baby, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. Baby, you're my good thing now. You gon' be my good thing forever. Baby, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. To me, you are.
Hey everyone, what's up? This is Pretty Girl Loves Trap content. This is my review for Snowfall Season 4, Episode 9, Sleeping Dogs. And it should have been called Live Bullets and Tainted Drinks for that ass. This was a good episode, you guys. A few of my predictions came true. But it was a lot going on, whoa, okay, so let's get into it. So, the episode pretty much picks off from the last scene of the last episode at T's house. And T's, explaining herself and, pretty much answering Franklin's question about how long she'd been playing him. So she was pretty much explaining how she was out with her homegirl celebrating, and Drew approached her and offered her $100,000 to find out who Franklin's plug is, because Drew remembered that T and Franklin had a thing back at school. And it's funny how $100K was like the big number back then. It's probably like $1 million. What $1 million is equivalent to in today's world. But $100K, I'm pretty sure it was a lot then. It's a lot now. So you know what I can do with $100,000 right now? But yeah, she started, explaining, how she went to Aunt Louie's party, which was the first scene that we saw her in. And once she started talking with Franklin again, she started getting all those old feelings and, decided to call Drew and back out of it, but he wouldn't let her. And I'm like, girl, bye. You a lie. That conversation wasn't that goddamn deep for you to be like, nah, $100,000 versus a nice little love romance with Franklin. I don't want to do it, girl, bye. You lying. And Franklin, he pretty much saw through that shit and was like, I don't believe you. So, she was like, well, what was I supposed to do? He was trying to kill me. He was like, you were supposed to come to me. Franklin ain't want to hear this shit. Like, I feel bad because, he was probably trying to find a little ride or die in her, and she was not the one. So he gets a page pretty much telling Peaches to stay with Tanasi while he goes handle some business. And she's looking like, you leaving me with this Negro? So we cut to the next scene and, we see Franklin in the projects. And apparently Leon paged Franklin because Jerome is ready for war. He stood out. He got on his suit, y'all. He ain't like Ghost and Power trying to change into no sweatsuit. Leon is about to handle business. Sorry. Uncle Jerome is about to handle his business in his 3-piece suit because he hasn't changed since the funeral. So yeah, he means war, guys. He probably will stinky right now. I mean, he did a lot. It's been like 2 days. It seemed like well, maybe not. It's only been a day, but it seemed like he been in that suit for a minute. Like, you don't want to slip into something a little more comfortable for, your killing spree. But, Uncle Jerome was like, why are you here? And Leon was like, hey, I paged him. And Leon was smoking a cigarette, or he probably was smoking weed. I don't know. But I don't remember seeing him smoke before. Or maybe I'm tripping. I don't know, y'all. Maybe I'm looking too deep into it. But pretty much Franklin tries to stop Jerome and like, hey, I can't let you go there. And he pretty much let everybody know, like, T has been playing me. She's been working with Manboy. So Manboy is knowing about Uncle Jerome's plan to retaliate. And Franklin was pretty much trying to tell Jerome, like, hey, it's not smart to go down there. They're going to expect you and you're not going to be prepared for that heat. You need to, wait, catch them, with the element of surprise, and we'll be able to get Manboy. We can use T to get him. And Uncle Jerome is pretty much like, nah, I'm tired of your plotting. I'm done. And he's going to tell Franklin, what did he say? You've been wrong with every turn. And I'm like, yeah, Franklin hasn't been making smart decisions, but Negro, you damn near put Louie in a position to get shot, and therefore putting you in a position where you need to retaliate. So Uncle Jerome, you ain't been making all the right decisions as well. So don't be, on your little high horse, because you are not necessarily the brains of the operation either. So Franklin is trying to figure out, hey, I need to stop him. So he puts his gun on Uncle Jerome's car and said, hey, I challenge you to a duel. And so Franklin put up his dukes. It reminded me of Friday when the Pops was like, put up your dukes. We're going to do this old school style. And Franklin was like, oh, okay, little nigga, you want some of this? So we already knew Franklin was no match for Uncle Jerome. He is maybe 2-3 sizes bigger than, I would say probably 4 sizes bigger than Franklin. And Jerome proceeds to whoop Franklin's ass to the point where Franklin, he's down on the ground, he's grunting, he's kind of holding on to his little wounds because, he still ain't recovered. Like, he's still struggling, at this point. So this is putting injury on top of injury. And so Franklin, his mouth is all bloody, and he was like, hey, when your wife and your sister asked me, what did I do to stop you from getting killed? I'm going to tell them I've done everything I can. And literally, this is like his last resort, is getting his ass whooped by Uncle Jerome. And Uncle Jerome, he kind of gives him a little like, yeah, little nigga, he may be right. I'm going to go on, sit down somewhere. So we cut to the next scene, and we see T at her house. And she is actually at a little round table situation. And she got Franklin staring at her, Leon staring at her, Peach is staring at her, Uncle Jerome staring at her like, bitch, look what you have done. And I felt the heat. Like, I felt like I was at the table too. Like, oof, Lord. Yeah, that was an interesting, intense scene. And so she discusses, pretty much expresses her, condolences. I'm sorry about Louie. And Franklin tells her, make the call to Manboy. So we see Manboy getting the page, and she tells Manboy like, hey, Franklin's ready to make the deal, blah, blah, blah. But she was kind of stuttering a little bit. She seemed very unsure of herself in the situation. So I can tell Manboy kind of sensed like, something in the milk ain't clean. Like, I don't trust this right now. And that's pretty much what I predicted. I felt like she was going to try to, go through this whole setup situation, but she was going to kind of show her slip, and Manboy was not going to go for it. But he was skeptical, but in asking her like, hey, I've been asking you to do this for a minute, and now all of a sudden you got it done. Like, how did you get it done? And she was like, don't worry about all of that. It's done. So he was like, okay, well, tell me when and where, and I'll be there. And so, Franklin, at the end of the conversation, he was staring at her like, you raggedy, lying ass bitch. Like, she was lying her behind off on that conversation. And I think that really showed Franklin like, oh, this girl, she can't be trusted for real. So we next see Alton and Irene, 2 people that should not be anywhere near South Central at this time. But they are at this pro-black radio station. And I'm like, are y'all really like working together? Like, what is this, Rush Hour? Regular old Chris Tucker, Jackie Chan situation? Like, what the F is going on right now? Like, I was pissed when I saw these 2 in the same room. Like, what are y'all doing? So long story short, Irene is on the radio show, and she pretty much threatens the CIA to come clean and, admit what's going on, try to rectify the situation, or she will release Teddy's name. So we see Teddy and Gustavo, of course, they're listening to this same broadcast, and Teddy is pissed. So next we see Manboy, and he pops up at T's house, and she was like, what are you doing here? You should be at your meetup with Franklin. And he pretty much tells her, hey, I realized you was lying. I know that was some BS. You was trying to set me up. So, he pretty much tries to strangle her or whatever. And she ends up stabbing him. And they kind of get to a tussle. Next thing we know, we see Leon and Franklin come out the back. And Franklin shoots him. And, Manboy's gun kind of gets out of his hand. And he tries to reach for the gun. And Franklin politely puts his cane on top of Manboy's hand, like, Negro, no you don't. So that cane is kind of useful, y'all. Like, it got multi-purposes going on. So, long story short, Manboy is, shot on the ground. He's still talking ish. So his homeboys that are outside of T's house, so they hear the gunshots, but they're thinking like possibly Manboy is shooting T. And next thing we see is Jerome just blazing with the machine gun and kills all three of his homeboys. And, he goes back into the house and Manboy is pretty much cursing everybody out one by one as he's dying a little more and more each second. It was funny. And so Manboy is just talking ish. And Franklin pretty much shoots him and be like, nigga, I always talk too much. So when Manboy is finally killed after like 5-6 shots, everybody pans and kind of looks at T and she's like, oh shoot, I'm next. But he was like, nah. He wiped off the gun and said, hey, call it in as a robbery. And, just explain like, hey, it was pretty much self-defense. Now, as to the three homeboys outside, I'm going to need Joe lying behind to figure out a good lie to get out of that. And, they pretty much leave. So now we are looking at Khadijah sitting on the couch at her and Scully's crib. And she pretty much tells Scully that Franklin killed Drew, which is Manboy. And, Scully pretty much was like, damn, Manboy's stupid behind. Like, I told him not to go after that plug. And Khadijah's looking at him like, is you serious right now? You calling Manboy stupid like it's his fault? Because, of course, she's not thinking clearly. So she's a little annoyed and upset. And she proceeds to call the city girls and pretty much says, hey, I'm doubling the bounty on Leon's head. And they're like, oh, okay, we down. So, and they're kind of funny. Don't get me wrong. Like, they definitely provide some comic relief to the show. And so Scully, he was like, you got to get that hate out your heart. And, she was like, hey, if it was me that they killed, would you forgive them? So, that kind of, I think that line is going to kind of come full circle maybe next episode. So we see Aunt Louie at the hospital. She's seeing like, she seems to be recovering, y'all. Like, I'm happy. My heart is happy. We need Aunt Louie. So Jerome's there, trying to feed her. And Franklin comes in and she's asking him, how's he's doing. And apparently Jerome updated Louie on everything that's been going on, all the drama, all the lowdown. And she was like, you guys got a plan? And, Franklin was like, we was going to use T, but she's out now. So Aunt Louie, being a boss that she is, on her hospital bed, she comes up with a little master plan saying, hey, offer the city girls more money because that's really what they want. And, we can use her to get Khadijah. And so Franklin was like, that ain't a bad idea. This is why we need Louie. So this is why we need women's in every organization, because we be thinking. So we see Black Diamond and Dallas, aka the City Girls. They're at their little strip club in the back, counting their money and whatever. And, Wanda comes there and states, hey, I got a business proposition for you guys. I know where Leon is at, so give me a part of that bounty, a little finder's fee or whatever. And, all is well. And so they proceed to ask her, like, ain't you still in love with that fool? Like, Come on now, what's going on? So she, provides this convincing story like, hey, I got shot for this fool and he didn't care. So at the end of the day, I want my revenge. And, it was very compelling. She definitely sold the story. And at this point, I was hoping that this was part of Franklin's plan, but I wasn't sure if the writers were trying to throw us off and maybe Wanda has gone rogue and really is trying to go after Leon. So I was kind of like 75-25, more so Franklin's plan versus Wanda going rogue. But it was definitely a convincing story. So, the city girl was like, okay, all right, we'll work with you. So we see Teddy, he's at his headquarters and got his little duffel bag, seemingly, fired or suspended or whatever. And he proceeds to tell Gustavo, hey, figure out an exit plan. Watch your back because the CIA don't care about you because Teddy is replaced by his, boss / co-worker. He's also in the room as well. But yeah, Gustavo was like, I'm ready, hip to this. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. So I'll be all right. So we see Sissy and Jerome. They have this heartfelt conversation at the hospital. And I was glad this was the first time we were seeing Sissy in this episode. And it's good to know she's kind of sticking around a little bit. And, she explains like, hey, I understand why you've been hustling. I get it. It's about money. It's about respect. I get it. Dang, money, power, respect, which need life. You'll see the light. Sorry, guys. I had to do the part. Oh, man. I've been listening to a lot of DMX lately. I still can't believe he's gone, y'all. Like, I won't get in my feelings too much. I did do a little video about him a few days ago. You guys should check it out. But he definitely left a mark and a great impression on us. So, all right, girl, snap out of it. Okay, so we see Avi and Teddy at a bar and, Reed's drinking. And Avi was like, hey, you tried all you can. You gave your all to your country. And Reed was like, I ain't done yet. Like, I still got ish that need to be done. You will be contacted by your new point of contact person. And Avi's like, come on, like, this job would never be finished. It's an ongoing situation. Like, get out while you can. And proceeds to offer Teddy a job, pretty much saying like, my business, you're loyal, you smart, you got contacts, like come to death row. And Teddy was like, I'll let you know, I'll get back to you on that offer. So we see Wanda and the city girls. They pull up at this hotel and she proceeds to tell them like, hey, this is where Leon's at. He's in that room over there. And they have some good questions like, how did you follow him on foot? Like, how do you know all these details? And, she kind of gives them some little random answers like my homegirl took me. But honestly, it was too late for those questions because next thing we see is Jerome and a couple of the dudes pull up. We see Leon coming out the room. And so they're pretty much surrounded right now. And Franklin pretty much offers them a job. Everybody's hiring everybody around here. So, they said, hey, we got more money than God. We, got a lot of options. You'll be a full employee, but still be an independent contractor. Because they was real heavy on, we don't work for niggas. Like, they was on some women empowerment-ish. And I'm all about that. And it was funny because Wanda was like, hey, you offering her a job? What about me over here? And Leon was like, fool, you already working with us. Leon, I love their dynamic. Like, I love Wanda and Leon. I'm not sure if they'll ever get back together. I hope they do, of course. But Wanda is funny as hell. Oh, God. So we see Khadijah and Scully. They're at the crib. And apparently, Khadijah must have went grocery shopping because Scully's talking about, why you buy these off-brand Q-tips? And don't get me wrong, like, I feel him because the right Q-tip is the right Q-tip. Like, if you have your own specific brand that you like, it makes a world of difference. You know, I like the hard Q-tips with the hard, just durable sticks. Not the little soft, little bendable, flexible shit. That don't do nothing for me. So I felt him on that. So Khadijah, she's on the phone with the city girls, and they pretty much tell her, like, hey, we got Leon, come through. So she proceeds to, like, tell Scully, like, hey, we got Leon, let's strap up, let's go. So Scully was like, I don't want no piece of that. Like, you got to get this hate out your heart, girl. Get it out your heart. So Khadijah was like, hey, if it was me who got killed, would you want revenge? Like, would you just chill out? And he just kind of sits there, like, just stuck. And she leaves. She bounces. So we cut to Irene and Teddy. Oh, my God. So Irene is at the bar drinking, going over her paperwork. And Teddy, he comes and pull up to her table. And she's like, nigga, is you serious? I mean, he ain't white, but that's kind of look, she gave him. And he was pretty much saying, hey, I got fired. I worked my behind off for this country. I'm ready to spill the beans. And I immediately started getting nauseous. I'm like, no, Teddy, don't do it. My mind is, once he releases everything, Franklin's going to get in trouble. That's my mind thing. My mindset. I'm like, no, because whatever you do is going to put Franklin in jail. So I was really upset. I'm like, no, please don't snitch. So, he offers her a drink. So he goes to the bar, gets some drinks, come back to the table. She turns the recorder on and he proceeds to tell everything. And I was like, oh my God, Teddy, what are you doing? I would have never thought he would have done this, honestly. I mean, I guess that was always an option, but I just never saw it coming, guys. Like, I was so pissed when I saw him spilling guts, all of the guts. So now we see Leon, he's in the chair in the middle of a living room, seemingly, with his hands tied behind his back. And so the city girls usher in Khadijah. So she pulls out the piece like, oh, you about to go. So they pull a gun on Khadijah. And, it was like, it's business, girl. So, of course, we knew that the whole Leon thing was a setup. And, she starts talking to Leon like, dang, first my daughter, now me. And Leon just looks all types of guilty. And he tries to express his condolences. But there's really not much you can say to a grieving mother at this point. And, I guess he was kind of looking for some type of closure. I don't know. But Jerome was like, I ain't trying to hear all the talking shit. And Khadijah tells Leon, like, I'm going to haunt you for the rest of your life. And that was scared and spooked the ish out of me. But Jerome, he shoots her. Leon kind of drops down to his knees, like in sorrow, like, no, Jerome, what did you do? And Jerome looking like, well, it needed to be done. But, Franklin proceeds to kind of, lift Leon up, like, we got to let her go. Let's go. And Jerome, he does feel, I could tell, a little regret in terms of having to kill a woman. But he had to kill whoever was trying to get at Louie. Like, it was kind of one of those things where it had to be done. So now we see Irene and Teddy. They're in a parking lot of the bar and they're drunk. She had one too many drinks. Hey. It ended up at the embassy. Sorry. If y'all don't know about that first Jamie Foxx CD, it was released, I was in college, so maybe 2000, 2001. I lie. I was in high school then. It was like maybe 2003, 4, 5-ish. But y'all got to look up that CD. Like, every song on that CD was a banger. Look it up. I can't remember the name of the actual album, but just look up Jamie Foxx CD. He only maybe had like 3 CDs, I think. But look it up, y'all. But that song was on there. And so, he offers to, hey, Irene, you need some help. What can I do to assist you? She's like, I got it. I'm good. So, she watches Teddy pull off and, go his merry way. And she proceeds to pull off out the parking lot. And now we see Sissy at the hospital, and we see raggedy ass Alton. Why are you here, Alton? I mean, California is a big state. You could go to Pasadena, you can go to Long Beach, Sacramento, Oakland, like Malibu, anywhere. Why are you here? I'm so over Alton, y'all. But Sissy proceeds to tell him, I'm just tired. I'm so tired. And they embrace each other and have this warm, heartfelt hug. And next thing we see or hear, we hear Franklin. He was like, what are y'all doing? And so they kind of separate a little bit. And that was an awkward ass scene, y'all. Like, it's literally the epitome of a child, coming through and dividing his parents, and everybody, well, I would say Sissy is in a tough spot because it's like, dang, do I go with my son? Do I go with my love of, the love of my life? Like, that must be a hard situation. But I do feel, I don't know if, what's going to happen in terms of who's going to kill Alton, because I feel like he's going to die. But I feel like if Franklin was to kill Alton, Sissy would not forgive Franklin. That would definitely be the straw that breaks the camel's back. And she will not F with Franklin after that. I guarantee you guys. She already, is kind of over Franklin a little bit, but she still has loyalty to her son. But yeah, guys, I don't know. Like, I do feel like Franklin is going to get to a point where he's doing way too much for Sissy. I mean, he is already pretty much doing a lot now, but it's going to get to a point where she's just going to separate herself from him. I really see that coming. So we now see, and before that, Alton is pretty much kicked out by Franklin. Like, he tells him to scram, get out of here, and he does. So Irene, she's in the car driving, dozing off a little bit, and she rolls down that window, y'all. Y'all know that roll down window trip where you tired or high or drunk. Not that I know about any of those things while I'm driving, but you try to get some air. Like, you try to get yourself going because you're tired and sleepy. You try to turn on the radio or something, or, just something just to keep you alert. But that doesn't work. She ends up getting into a car accident. And it's funny because this is Teddy's specialty in a sense. But Teddy ends up coming to the car and proceeds to kind of suffocate her. And after she dies, he goes to the passenger side, and takes a recorder. And I hope he took that paperwork too. I didn't catch the paperwork being taken, but I'm hoping he did. But yeah, Irene is dead. And don't get me wrong, I've been wanting her dead, but now that she's actually dead, I'm like, oh. I know I'm such a punk, guys. Yeah, whatever. It had to be done. She was doing way too much. So, guys, oh my God, this next part kind of hurt my soul. So Scully is at the hospital and he's pretty much identifying Khadijah's dead body, y'all. And he just cries. You can tell when he immediately sees her face, he looks up to God and he's just sulking. And I really don't know what's going to happen. I feel like it's going to either be two extremes with Scully. He's either going to be back on his BS and goes after Franklin and the crew, or he's going to devote himself either further to religion and spirituality and God, maybe become a preacher. Who knows? But it's going to be either or maybe sulk in drugs. I don't know. And that's the great thing about this show. We can have all these hypotheses and and wants and wishes, but every character literally has multiple outcomes, and we just have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen to Scully. Will he become a saint or more of a sinner? Oh, Saint Franklin Saint. Okay. Anywho, so we see Franklin and Sissy. They're in a waiting room at the hospital, and we see a news report about Irene getting into a quote unquote drunk driving accident, that was fatal. So Sissy looks at Franklin like, nigga, did you do this? She just gave him that look, y'all. I just love how actors convey so much thought and feelings without saying a word. And so Franklin, he really doesn't look not guilty. She doesn't really ask him, but yeah, guys, that was funny. So we see Teddy, and I'm like, Teddy, what you doing at the hospital? So he proceeds to talk to Franklin, and Franklin was like, did you do this to Irene? He was like, don't worry about it. What about your pops? What about your daddy? I'm gonna need you to do more than slap your daddy. And Franklin was like, I'm gonna try to, figure out the situation with my pops, because he is a loose end. I mean, he is the one that kind of got Irene involved in all of this BS. So I don't blame Teddy, but I don't know, guys. And so the last scene, we see Alton looking at one of the news reports as well, reporting about Irene. He's like in this little motel room situation. And when he finds out this news, he is like frazzled, like, oh my God, like what to do. So he grabs his coat and kind of, sprints out of the room. So I definitely know he is on high alert right now. And then previews for the next episode, it seems like him and Teddy is kind of going into like a whole little duel situation. Franklin's in the middle. And he's kind of torn, and it's kind of funny because it feels like the situation Sissy is in. She's torn between Alton and Franklin. And now it seems like Franklin has to choose between an alliance with his father and an alliance with Teddy. Not really an alliance with his father, but keeping his father alive in a sense. He's going to have to figure something out, child. I don't know. But this was an awesome episode. We had 3 deaths, guys, and I hope, I don't know, like, will we get another death for the rest, for the next season episode? Like, one more episode left. I don't know what else they can do. I do feel like they are definitely going to touch on Little Rock. We haven't seen Little Rock in a few episodes, so I definitely think that they are going to dabble into Little Rock and what's going on there and leave us on a cliffhanger. Oh, guys, this show is so good and so stressful. What do you guys think about the episode? Please comment. Please like this video. Please subscribe to my channel. I will be hopefully releasing more content in the future because Snowfall is about to end. But thank you guys so much for listening. You guys have a beautiful and blessed day. Bye.